What is up, my friends? It is, what day of the week is it? It is Tuesday night, and you are all very welcome along to the late night agenda. I hope that you're all well. I hope you're enjoying the darts if you're watching it, or the Brighton game against West Ham, whatever tickles your pleasure. I am here to go through lots of transfer stories because it has been a very interesting day on the transfer front. We've, of course, got the situation with Arsenal and Curtis Jones, which is a story I didn't think I'd be talking about at the start of 2024. We're going to be talking about some centre-back and full-back options as well that have been linked to Liverpool. Have a little look ahead to the game against Arsenal coming up in the FA Cup of the weekend, and anything else that your little hearts desire. As always, this is your show, my friends. You let us know the topics that you want to discuss. I've got my notes prepared, but ultimately I'll get my part out, but I want to know what you guys want to discuss. So, hope you're all well. Oh, and also tonight, I'm going to be discussing my feelings about Mohamed Salah and where I really am and where I truly am of the whole situation. Because a lot gets levelled at me about Mo, and it caused me to have a good deep think about these things. And I'm not somebody that's arrogant enough to not think that I may have conscious or subconscious biases or feelings. So I have explored them, I have sat down and thought about it, and I've come up with what I think is the fairest way I can respond to all the stuff that's labelled at me about Salah. So we will be touching on that a little bit later on as well. And of course, as I said, whatever it is you want to talk about. Firstly, I want to know one thing. How's it feel top of the league right now? How does it feel to be seeing the mighty Reds top of the league and extending that lead last night with that 4-2 victory over Newcastle, which Alan Shearer was a little bit salty about. I don't know why he's particularly a bit salty, Mr. Shearer, but there we go. We can talk about that as well. And I can tell you why it was absolutely 100% two penalties correctly awarded to Liverpool Football Club, if that's what you want as well. Right, so where are we at? Craig, apparently we sent a bid for Inacio according to Dave O'Cop. Yeah, I've seen the article. I don't think it's according to Dave O'Cop, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's according to a different outlet. Maybe he ran with the story, which, no problem there. But it is a bit weird if we're actually offering 30 million euro. And of course, we'll talk about that tonight as well. But we know the buyout clause is 60. If we start at 30, I don't think that's going to go over too well at Sporting Lisbon. But stranger things have happened. Can I talk about Johan Bakayoko? I can't really, Riley, because I've got to be honest, mate. I don't know all that much about the guy. I know he's linked. I know he plays for PSV Eindhoven. And even at that, I was thinking it was Feyenoord for the longest time. I don't know anything about him other than he's been linked to us and he's a highly regarded young attacking player. That's all I know, my man. I have not seen this dude play football, so I can't really help out on that one. But he is definitely a name we've been linked to. I can feel comfortable in saying that. Craig, it's great being top. It's pretty nice, isn't it? I mean, I very much enjoy Liverpool being top of the league right now. I hope we can keep it that way. It's a nice, comfortable place, isn't it? To be sitting top of the pile and not having to look upwards at all, but just look downwards. It's always a little bit better. Did you see the Irish guy video with you in it? No? Apparently I'm very popular. I've been in a few videos today. No, I didn't see it. I don't really, as I said before, have time to keep up to date with all the stuff I'd like to on YouTube, and I certainly do like the Irish guy. But no, I've got no idea what way I am in the video, what he said in the video, what part of my clip he used in the video. I don't know. But he's a nice guy, Michael. You feel free to use any of our content if he wants. No problem with that. Are you expecting us to get anybody this January? I kind of am, mate, yeah. If I'm being honest with you, I am. I don't have a Scooby-Doo who it's going to be or when we might expect it, but there are a few things we'll go through tonight when we go into the transfer stories that I think will hopefully start to put some meat on the bones for some of these transfer stories. So there's a couple of updates on Anthony Robinson. There's some stuff on Mark Gay. There is, of course, the La Parisienne stuff about Liverpool and Kylian Mbappe. We'll be talking about Dominic Szoboszlai and waiting for the results of his hamstring injury or his scan. And as I said, lots of other bits and pieces. So you know the drill by now. We spend the first few minutes just having a chat and waiting for the chat to fill up, and then we get stuck into the content. Did I watch the semi-finals of the darts? I watched the first two legs. It was 1-1, and I think Littler had gone one or two legs up in the third set before I started the stream, and I probably watched the Luke Humphries one later on. Szoboszlai is injured. Yes, mate, he It was confirmed yesterday that Jurgen Klopp took him off because he was feeling his hamstring, and we don't know the extent of that injury. We don't know if it's torn or anything. We'll await news, obviously, from a scan that I'm sure will be forthcoming soon enough. But unfortunately, yes, he does have a bit of a hamstring injury, which isn't great. But to be fair, we are quite well stacked in that part of the pitch at the minute. We've got Elliott, we've got Jones, we've got McAllister coming back in. We've got options, but hopefully it's not too long. Do you agree that Endo is Mr. Consistent? I personally think he's a brilliant wee player. So, it's not unusual for a player to take time before Klopp really beds him in properly. But more often than not, and I'm thinking mainly about Andy Robertson here, when Klopp drops a player in, they usually get it right. And I think Klopp has been very, very good about how he's masterminded this surge for Watoro, because I agree with you. At the start, I genuinely wasn't sure. I didn't know if he was going to be the player Klopp was hoping he'd be. But the last few weeks, I mean, the fella deserves immense credit. He's been brilliant. Craig, would I be deluded if I said I'd take Elise over Mbappe? No, I mean, geez, I'd never certainly call you deluded, Omar, but I can totally understand why you'd like Elise and want Elise, mate. He's an exceptionally good young footballer without maybe the potential baggage that could come along with a Kylian Mbappe. So I understand your position on it. I can't say I'd agree with you. You know, if I had an option of one of them two, I'm taking Mbappe, but I tell you what, I would very, very much take Elise. So it would be a matter of, you know, one of two good things happening. Good evening, CD Sava, how are you? I'd love to see Elise in red. I see qualities from him that I love from a youngster like himself. Look, no pushback. I think Elise is brilliant. I don't know what the number in his new release clause is, but as I said, I did research. And by the way, when I say I research, some people love to go in on me about this. I literally mean I look on the internet and read stories. So I'm not claiming that information isn't public knowledge, but not everybody spends their days reading up on football. I do because it's my job. So I did manage to find out there is a release clause, of course. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't come into effect till next summer. So I don't think we could expect to see Elise being bought by Liverpool or anybody in the January market, based off what I'm reading and seeing. Do I think Inacio would be good enough? Yes, I do. When you're linked to clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, you must have something about you. So yes, I do think Inacio would be good enough. Is he the best fit for our system? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sure Jurgen and Pep Linders and the recruitment team will absolutely know the answer to that question. But like this 30 million story that's doing the rounds, I would find that a disrespectful offer if I was Sporting Lisbon, quite frankly. Because, you know, he was 40 million in the summer. Then he signed a new deal. We know the release clause is 60 million. And I totally get if you don't want to pay that release clause. But I think you got to come up from less than half the release clause. I wouldn't look very favourably on that as an offer if I was in the Sporting Lisbon office and that came in. I would say they're taking the piss a little bit, to be honest with you. Would I swap Núñez for Bellingham? Of course I would. I mean, I don't know if people want to set me up because they know I'll give an honest answer, but I would struggle to comprehend that any Liverpool fan wouldn't swap Núñez for Bellingham. I mean, Bellingham is a prodigy. He's unbelievable. So yes, I would. I presume we're talking about Jude Bellingham here, by the way, because if it's Joe Bellingham, that's a different conversation. I'd say sell Darwin, sign Victor O and sign Polina from Fulham. We ain't signing Polina. There's no way we're paying 60 million quid for somebody of his age bracket. And to be honest, I don't think we're in the lookout for a midfielder at the minute from what I'm reading. The interesting story for me was the one that came up yesterday about Fulham and Andre, that they can't really get above 20 million at the moment And so Andre's still kind of floating around with nobody apparently willing to pay 30 million for him, which sounds extraordinary, to be honest with you. So I don't know what's going on with that role, but I certainly wouldn't expect it to be strengthened in January based off what we're seeing in the media anyway. Craig, again, Liverpool are linked with Mbappe, and Liverpool are leading in the race for Kimmich, who's excellent. So, on Kimmich, what I've heard from people I've, been speaking with is Manchester City is most likely. Would I like him at Liverpool? Absolutely. Especially with Thiago moving on. It's a very similar type of situation there. So I'd be over the moon if we brought Kimmich in the summer, or even if you went and paid 20 million from now. But my understanding is Manchester City is more likely. Obviously, you've got the Guardiola connection there from when they worked together at Bayern Munich, and the fact that they could be moving on Calvin Phillips on loan or permanent somewhere this month. So, yeah, I think Manchester City for Kimmich is more likely based off what's out there information-wise. Andre is not all that. No, I get that. But I'm just talking about the value there. Like, there's a player in there. He's not a finished player, and he does have some attributes that need to be worked on. But if you're talking about 30 million euro, it's almost worth a roll of the dice just to see how he gets on. And I'm sure if it didn't work out, you pretty much get that money back anyway. But I think it's more looking at it from a value perspective. Right, so I feel like I need to talk about Mohamed Salah, because a lot of people feel that I'm very harsh on Mohamed Salah, or they feel like that maybe there's an underlying reason for why I hold Mohamed Salah to a different standard than others. And do you know what? I'm going to be entirely honest with you guys. It's one of those situations that has made me reflect and look back and question myself, because I'm not ignorant or pig-headed enough to feel like I may not have conscious or unconscious biases. So I really spent some time. I even spoke about it with my psychologist today when I was down there. And here's what I've come up with for Mohamed Salah and how I view Mohamed Salah. And this is from the heart, absolutely how I see it. So, do I feel the same connection or bond to Mohamed Salah as I did to other Liverpool players like maybe Firmino? No, I don't. I don't. And I ask myself why. And the best that I can come up with, because obviously this is a difficult one, because I understand he's brilliant. I understand his numbers are great. I understand so many things. But for me, he's too perfect. That's going to sound really weird, right? And I understand it sounds weird. But if you look, or if I look at the type of people that I usually form an emotional bond with around sport or in life, I usually am attracted to a flawed individual. A Ronnie O'Sullivan, a Diego Maradona. These are usually a Paul McGrath. These are the type of players that have attracted me because of the flaw, because of the personality trait that I can see in myself as a flawed human being. So I'm usually attracted to bonding with or being emotionally invested in those type of people because they're a bit of an underdog. When I look at Mohamed Salah, I see a wonderful human being, an exceptional footballer, a brilliant father and husband, and I just don't have that bond and connection to him on a personal level. But it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate Mo, that I don't love Mo, that I don't respect what he's done for our football club. But I also have to push back on another aspect of this, and that is we talk about Mohamed Salah in a very positive and praising way because he's earned it. But with that comes a higher level of scrutiny and a higher standard of measurement for me. If you're talking about Mohamed Salah, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Houlden, any of these guys, you're talking about the creme de la creme. They don't get measured against the average Premier League footballer. They get measured against the greats of the game. And that's a compliment to Mo. So yes, I understand that sometimes I might seem to go a bit harder on Mo. But that's because I know he's better than a lot of others. And I judge him in a slightly different way. But this narrative that there has to be an underlying reason that is sinister as to why I don't perhaps love Mo as much as some other people do is absolute nonsense. And that's where I draw the line, because then you're attacking me on a personal level, and you're attacking me making out like it's because of where he's from, or because of his religion, or because of the colour of his skin. And that is simply not true. I love Mohamed Salah. I think Mohamed Salah deserves nothing but credit and respect. And I've also stood and defended Mohamed Salah on many occasions when others have gone in on him. So my track record of loving Mo, I think, speaks for itself. But granted, there have been times where I've seemed harsh on Mo. The sell him to Saudi moment, as an example. I have to hold my hands up to that, because it isn't a good look for me, and it shows the temperamental side of me, which sometimes doesn't show the best side of me, and I fully accept that. But there isn't an underlying reason. And if you think I'm making it up, or you think that I don't love Mo, go and watch some of my reactions when he scores. The Mo. That's not fake. That's emotion. That's in the moment. And Mo's delivered some of the most wonderful moments that I've had as a Liverpool fan. But I've got to be honest, he isn't my type of person. I couldn't imagine going out for dinner with him, as an example, because I don't think our personalities are similar. So that's basically my best and honest attempt at trying to give you my take on perhaps why I don't seem as invested in Mo as some others do. And then, of course, you have to look at it from the perspective of, and I've said this honestly as well, for the first time in my life, I have seen a Liverpool player have a following that isn't for the club alone, but is also for the player. This could be an age thing for me. It could be a new type of fandom coming into the game. And even at that, I did look inwardly and ask myself, do I do this? And I guess I do. So I like NFL. I've only started to like NFL in the past couple of years. But I don't have an emotional connection to a team, or connection to a team. So I look and like a lot of different players. And I do follow and watch players that certain games play in the NFL, because I don't have that emotional connection. So I'm trying to, again, have this understanding that other people may look at Mohamed Salah in the same way that I perhaps look at these NFL players, that I don't have a connection to the city or to a team. But it's also very new to me that people are wanting a player to do well over a club, because ultimately we're Liverpool fans. And players will come, players will go, managers will come, managers will go. But that one consistent for us in our lifetime is going to be Liverpool, the club. And you've also heard me utter the phrase many, many times, I don't care who scores the goals. And I really don't, because it's a team game, and I support Liverpool Football Club, and I want Liverpool Football Club to win league titles. I don't really care about Ballon d'Ors that much either. Of course, if one of your boys are up for a Ballon d'Or, you want them to do well. But these are the things that I'm trying to navigate as I make football content, and as I become an older person, and as a new type of fan comes in. And I just want you guys to know that I do take your feedback and your comments on board, and I do reflect on these things. And I'm not for 1 second trying to make out like I am a flawed individual myself. But I will always push back and draw the line at this underlying reason why perhaps I don't like or am not as in love with a player as some others are. There is no underlying reason. I don't judge people on their nationality, on their skin, and their religion. And I think over my time on this channel, I've earned the right to say that I welcome in everybody. And I don't judge people on anything other than their character and who they are in our chat to me and how they treat other people. So that's it. That's my honest situation. That's my honest deal with Mo. I just don't have that connection with him as a human being, because he's not flawed and I'm flawed. That's it. It's as simple as that. So I hope that's taken with the sincerity it's been delivered and the reflection that I've honestly looked on it. And while we're talking about Mo, one more little thing is I do owe you guys in the chat a bit of an apology because of something that happened yesterday. I didn't realise how good his assist was last night for Gakpo until I watched the game back. If I remember correctly during the watch along, I think I only glanced up to see the goal and knew Salah had made the assist. But when I look back at the assist, it was a pretty damn good assist outside of the foot, great pass. And I just want to acknowledge that I missed that yesterday as well. So there we are. Right. Right, more comments. Would you sell Salah and bring in Bowen in January? No, I wouldn't sell Salah in January. No. And Liverpool won't sell Salah in January. We won't even look at selling him in January because we've got a job to do, and that's to win the league. And I heard Gary Neville today say, I'm paraphrasing this a little bit, that Liverpool owe Mohamed Salah to still be in the title race or in a good position when he comes back from the AFCON. And I kind of agree with that. But no, I wouldn't sell him in January, not a chance. I understand what you see. I love Mo's spirit, said Liz. Absolutely. Mo's a wonderful human being, as was Sadio Mane, and as are many. We're blessed to have many good lads at the football club. But yeah, I can't lie and say I have an emotional connection to somebody when I don't have it. Like, I'm just being honest. Craig, what did you make of True Geordie's comments yesterday? So I knew this was going to come up today. What do I make of them? Look, my first thing I'm going to say is, if you want somebody to go in on somebody for an emotional outburst, I ain't that guy. I can't throw shade at anybody for an emotional outburst. That is me, literally. That is me week to week. So I'm not going to throw my friend under a bus. Do I think he literally meant those comments that he wanted to punch him in the face? No, I don't. But I also don't think Jurgen Klopp is a bad person. And that's the part of it, to me, that I found more saddening than any other part of it. Because Klopp's a wonderful human being. And I think we all know that deep down. So I don't think it was anything other than an emotional outburst in a moment that I have been guilty of many times myself. So yeah, I'm not going to throw somebody under the bus, but I as I said, it could be me next week. And I think people need to understand at times it's really difficult to make live content. It's really difficult to try and not be emotional and to not offend people, because it's a tough old world out there at times. And as I said, I shit the bed all the time. I say things that I regret week in and week out, lads. So I'm not going to go in on other people for an outburst. But that's my honest take on it. I don't know what else to say on it. Like, it's not really my issue, you know. I didn't say it. I wasn't on the show. If I was on the show, I would have pushed back on the comments. Of course I would, as a Liverpool fan. But I also know Brian, and I know how Brian has always treated me. And he's always treated me with respect, as a friend, with honesty. So, you know, I don't turn my back on my friends. It's simple as that, really. And look, people are absolutely free and are there to make their own minds up on all these things. And that's the business we're in. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. We take our lumps. We have our say. And sometimes we'll get it wrong. And yeah, I mean, if people choose to... Like, for instance, I lost a lot of subscribers about 2 weeks ago after the United game. I knew I'd shit the bed. I knew I'd angered people. And I was upset that I angered people. So I did what I could do to explain my situation, to own my mistake. And I haven't seen the full reaction video today, because apparently he made a video speaking about the situation. I haven't seen it all. I've seen a little tiny clip of it that I was in. And by the way, I thought that clip was very funny. But yeah, look... not my situation is the best way I can say. Craig, what do you think about Goldbridge calling us Liverpool? I mean, again, what do I think? I mean, it's I don't really have much thought on it. Like, Liverpool gets thrown into my chat 100 times a day. It's just a lazy slagging that people give towards Liverpool when we get a decision. I mean, it just plays into the tribalism that I think destroys opinions at time. But, like, there's 50,000 other things I'd have to moan about Goldbridge than that, to be honest with you. But let me say this on the decisions yesterday in the game, because I can definitely give you my honest opinions on them, because, you know, I watched the game. I don't understand the fume about either of the penalties, particularly the first one. Like, apparently, Alan Shearer, and I haven't seen it, but apparently Shearer was moaning about it. The first one was a Stonewall penalty. Every day of the week. Gary Neville should be fucked off comms on Sky as well, by the way. Because I listened to his nonsense on there. Basically, the disdain for Liverpool was shining through. That was not unbiased punditry. Not by a long way. So that I take issue with. The first one was a Stonewall penalty. But like I said yesterday on the second one, I've got every sympathy for people who think it wasn't a penalty, because it took me a while looking at it to see the touch. As I said yesterday, go back and watch my match reaction live. I said, lads, I don't know if this is a penno. But then I seen the touch. And once I seen the touch, I knew why it was given. So I think people are divided on the second one, which I think is understandable. But the first one is, if anyone's arguing against that first one being a penalty, I don't care, quite frankly. It's a stupid argument. It was a Stonewall penalty all day, every day. And also, one last thing. Whatever I think, or Brian thinks, or Alan Shearer thinks, or Goldbridge thinks, Dubravka, the person who fouled him, said it was a penalty. So, if the ref, the VAR, and the goalkeeper have all said penalty, then I feel comfortable in saying it was a penalty. Big fan from Dublin. Big question. I think there's a lack of confidence in Gravenberch. I feel like there's more to him. What's your thoughts? I've actually been really pleasantly surprised with Gravenberch since he's come in. Yeah, I mean, with Dominic Szoboszlai now potentially missing some games with the hamstring, I think Gravenberch and Elliott are vying for that place between the two of them. Granted, yes, Gravenberch normally more the left side of midfield, Elliott more the right, but I think we've got a bargain from Bayern Munich, and I was very wary of that signing. You know, again, I'm not going to rewrite history. I questioned it, and I questioned why Bayern were willing to sell him, why two different managers at Bayern were that interested in him. So yeah, I've got to say, like, I've been really pleasantly surprised on it. How do you get the background? You don't get it. It's made with lots of hours. So as an example, Omar, if you were to go and get that background built behind us, the one that we use, I don't think I'm exaggerating to say 3 to 4 grand to get a designer to build it. So yeah, that's built from scratch, mate. Layer upon layer upon layer, with hour after hour after hour of work that went into it. And then it's done with a green screen, a program called OBS, which is Open Broadcast Software. I think that's what it stands for. And everything goes in through that, hooks up to YouTube, and that's what brings the graphics and stuff through. And that's my best explanation of it as an idiot who doesn't truly fully understand it. Right, let's get into the transfer stories, because I feel like I've taken up a lot of your time explaining a lot of stuff over the start of the stream. So let's start about the craziest one of the whole day. Curtis Jones to Arsenal. Wow. That is not a story I thought that I would be opening up 2024 talking about on a transfer stream. So there's a couple of things about this post that originated, I think, from AFC Camden, that said Arsenal have reportedly made contact to a Liverpool midfielder, Curtis Jones, ahead of a potential summer transfer. Mikel Arteta really wants to sign the player. So my first thought was, isn't this tapping up? Because remember, everybody gave out when Liverpool talked to Virgil van Dijk and Blackpool, that was tapping up and everybody wanted Liverpool's head on a platter. And we ended up having to apologise and pay more money than we probably should have in the next window. So that was my first thought when I seen this story. My second thought was the John W. Henry, what are they smoking at the Emirates stuff. That was the next thing that popped into my head. But mostly, I think it's a credit to Curtis Jones. Because 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, we would have drove him to the Emirates. But now, he has progressed so well. He is an integral part of the midfield. And the idea of selling him is just so ludicrous to us that it's laughable to even suggest that we do it. And that's credit to Jurgen and Curtis Jones and his own hard work. But what do you think he's worth? That's that, because I didn't see a number. So if Declan Rice was worth 100 million and he's a defensive midfielder, what's Curtis Jones worth? Like, what would be the offer? Again, you're not selling him. You're not getting him Arsenal. But what would be the offer? That would be an interesting one to see truly what people think Curtis Jones' market value is. So someone said 50 million. Not a chance. He's worth more than 50 million. 60, I don't know. It's a weird one, and I hope we don't find out, because I don't think any of us at this rate want to sell Curtis based off his performances. But it was an interesting one, because I didn't know what the market value was there for Curtis Jones. And then there's also the arrogance of it. And that wasn't lost on me either. To think that you could come into Liverpool and just take Curtis Jones. Because and to defend my position on this, I also told Liverpool fans who wanted Saka that they were losing their minds and that was never going to happen. So yeah, I think this is a weird one to start the year with. Speaking of weird stories, here's another one. This time it's about Fabio Carvalho. So we know Fabio Carvalho's loan spell at Leipzig was cancelled. We know he's come back to Liverpool, and Liverpool are going to loan him out for the remainder of the season. Fabrizio Romano said Liverpool plan to use Carvalho long term, maybe as early as next season. So we've seen the stories doing the rounds about Leicester, Southampton. I think I mentioned Forest as well. But today, my friends, we see Rudy Galletti saying that Everton are making an approach over potentially looking to sign Fabio Carvalho. And the last thing that we need to inflict on that poor young man is to send him to Goodison Park. We want him to develop as a player. And Sean Dyche is a good coach. But nothing about the brand of football Sean Dyche plays strikes me as one that's going to supplement the talents of Fabio Carvalho. So that was a weird one. Why are Liverpool again going to loan out Fabio? He's a better player. Please don't loan him again. They're going to loan him out to see how he reacts at the level, most likely. That's all I can think of. You know, see if he goes the Premier League loan, and I think I would look for a Premier League loan over a Championship loan, just to see how he gets on. Because Liverpool, taking Fabrizio on his word, seem to think that he has a future at the club. I struggle to see where he gets minutes at the moment with the midfielders we have. I do rate Carvalho as a player, but I don't think anything has really changed since we loaned him out to justify giving him minutes at the moment. Where the hell are these rumours coming from? As I said, Rudy Galletti. It shocked me, to be honest with you, because Everton wouldn't have popped into my head as a destination to loan him out. Have you heard about Douglas Luiz? Again, Riley, I'll need a little bit more than have I heard about Douglas Luiz. All I've seen about Douglas Luiz is that Villa value him at £100 million, and that's where the conversation should end if that's true, because you're free to value your players at whatever you like. That is your right as a football club. But to think that anybody's going to pay £100 million for Douglas Luiz is insanity. But then again, football's just losing its damn mind anyway with prices at the minute. So, speaking of football losing its damn mind, Liverpool have been linked to a Lille centre-back, 18 years of age, a gentleman by the name of Lenny Yoro. Now, you know, League 1 fans amongst you will probably know a hell of a lot more about this young man than I do. But this story from Team Talk said Liverpool want to sign Lille's 18-year-old centre-back Lenny Yoro. Goes on to say the club are unwilling to accept bids of less than £78 million, which is nearly €100 million, for an 18-year-old centre-back. The world's losing its damn mind with these transfer fees. Like, what? 90-odd million euro for an 18-year-old centre-back playing in a bang-average team in France. Where do you go with that? Like, we can't even get into the conversation if he's a good player or not, because that is just ludicrous from a price perspective. Douglas Luiz is more of a box-to-box player. It doesn't matter what he is, mate. He could be Muhammad Ali, Bruce fucking Springsteen mixed in with Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter. He's 100 million quid, and he isn't 100 million quid's worth of a footballer. So if that's the price they ask, nah. It doesn't matter what position he plays in, because it's just stupid money. That's the same with Antonio Silva's price. Yes, but Antonio Silva is well known for years to be a really, really, really top tier centre back in the making. And you'll also notice that nobody has paid that money for Antonio Silva to Benfica, because as good as he is, demanding that much for a young kid is just silliness. You know, I hope Liverpool never pay that money for a kid. It's just madness. You know, yeah, it's crazy. Makes 80 million for Curtis Jones seem like a bargain. Yeah. So just to stay in France for a moment, my friends. Apparently, according to Le Parisien, Liverpool are, all capitals here, serious contenders in the race to sign Kylian Mbappe. Real Madrid are strongly interested, but Jurgen Klopp's Reds should not be underestimated, according to Le Parisien. Now, again, your natural reaction here is to go, yeah, here he goes again. Liverpool, Mbappe, yes, we've heard this one, blah, 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 he's going to Madrid. And you're probably right. But you can't just ignore the fact that we have kept conversations with Mbappe for 5 years, that he himself has admitted to meeting with Liverpool previously, that he has changed agent back to his mother, who was a Liverpool fan. And then you've got the whole Nike thing and what happens with Mohamed Salah in the future. You know, if he departs, do Liverpool have money and a spot for somebody like him? But look, it's all pie in the sky stuff. Let's wait and see what happens. If he signs that deal at Madrid, apparently that offer is going to be on the table for him till the middle of the month. And if he doesn't sign it by then, Madrid are pulling it. I don't know anything else. But these reports are coming out of France saying that Liverpool are serious and don't underestimate their interest in Mbappe. I don't have a clue after that. Again, I see people moaning in the chat. Not me. I didn't put the stories out. I'm not trying to sell you this vision, but it keeps being reported. So, just answer me this question. And it's the only question I ever push back on. I'm giving you, and we're taking for granted, that Real Madrid are the front runners. I think we're all in agreement Madrid are the most likely. But if for whatever reason that doesn't materialise, well, what happens with him? Because the dude has to play football somewhere, and he's out of contract in the summer. So that's where I'm stuck with all this. He has to go somewhere, and he's not going to stay at PSG by the looks of it, because they're in a bit of a mess. So yeah, you say Manchester City. I've not seen anything credible to suggest Manchester City. And also, there is the little matter of the 115 charges against Manchester City. So they have, if you're Mbappe's representative, can you send him to a club where you don't know what that outcome's going to be? Mbappe makes 3 times what Salah makes. No chance we pay that salary. I'm going to ask you again then, Fred. Why have we been trying for 5 years to talk him into coming to Liverpool? It's not my words. He's admitted to talking to John W. Henry. He's admitted that they had those conversations. He's admitted that Liverpool tried to get him there. And also, I don't think he does earn 3 times as much as Mohamed Salah, if what Rami Abbas said is true. Rami Abbas, again, not me, Rami Abbas said at Harvard, Mohamed Salah brings in about £1 million a week. They're not my words. They're not. another Liverpool fan account's words, that's his representative putting that information out into the world. So, I don't know. How much do you think Elise is worth? He's worth whatever his release clause is. And that's the honest answer, mate, because they're not going to sell him for less than the release clause. And I don't know what the release clause is. If his old release clause was £35 million, I'd a guess 60, maybe, for the new release clause. And I am guessing because I don't know. But I think £60 million for Elise would be very fair. Maybe even go a little bit higher, to be honest with you. That's how highly I regard him. I think he's a star in the making. Yeah, 60 sounds about right to me. But until you know the release clause, it's a really tough question to answer. Don't get the hate on Salah. What hate? I'm going to ask this question again. What hate? Show me the hate on Salah. Because I haven't thrown any hate at Salah. And this is where, again, I think people need to differentiate between criticising a performance. Like, the only answer I ever get back on this is 7 goals, 2 assists, or 12 goals, X assists. No one's arguing with the numbers. But nobody's going to tell me he hasn't dropped the yard of pace and he isn't the same player as he was. Now, to be fair, I've tried to talk about this by saying I think we should move him central because he's our most clinical. So I'd like to see Mo in front of goal where he does the most damage. But this hate nonsense needs to stop because it's just not true. Mbappe would cause rough within the club. Again, we don't know that. Like, do you know Kylian Mbappe? I don't. And maybe it's because I've seen other players come to Liverpool with this label before, like Danny Sturridge. When we were getting him from Chelsea, I can point you to lots of stories that said that he was a troublemaker, that he was trouble behind the scenes. And then he comes to Liverpool and all I ever seen or read about was how he was a great fella, how he was really helpful to the younger players, how he was like a big brother to some of them. And every time I seen him in any social media clips or at, he was always funny and charismatic and making people laugh and smile. So sometimes we need to trust that if it got to the point where Liverpool were truly looking at Mbappe, I think we give Jurgen Klopp enough credit to say that he wouldn't bring somebody to the club that he thinks would distract people in the dressing room or cause trouble. Because we know how hard Jurgen has worked to foster the right mentality and spirit and type of people in that Liverpool dressing room. So I think it's very disrespectful to Jurgen when I hear people throw that around because we're making out like the man's an idiot and he wouldn't have looked over these things before potentially, running the rule over it. Thanks for the content from your local. Much love, my man. Thank you, Jay. Right, some more talk, by the way. We're not finished with the transfer talk yet. There's more still to go. So let's talk about Mark Gay for a little bit because, again, the Mirror, I think it is, have been reporting that Liverpool like Mark Gay, Crystal Palace's 23-year-old centre-back, but are expected to wait until the summer when Crystal Palace are more likely to be willing to sell. Now, on the face of this, I can understand it. If he's the one that Jurgen Klopp, let's say, has singled out as number one on the list, and Crystal Palace really aren't willing, then we've seen before that Jurgen's willing to hang off for the guy. But what I don't think we as fans can accept is this becoming another Andre story, where, yeah, we wanted him back then, but when it comes time to actually do the deed, things have changed and all of a sudden we don't want them. Because all that's done is bought them more time of pushing through another window. So, as I said, on the face of it, no issues with that whatsoever. He's a player that's more than good enough, I think. Makes sense if Palace don't want to sell him to the summer. I can understand that. But what we can't allow it to do is be a bait and switch from our owners again, where it gets them through the winter window without having to spend money. And then in the summer, another excuse comes up as to why we haven't pulled the trigger on the deal. So that's my concern when I see stories like this about Mark A. Is that just FSG trying to get through this window without actually having to do anything? Or is it Jurgen genuinely having a particular player he wants and wait until the summer till he's available? What else we got? Nunes is underrated. He's the third highest scorer, third most assists. No, I'm sorry, David. You can't say Darwin's underrated. You can't. Mate, I love him. I love him. But my God, he should have had a hat-trick yesterday. And it's not the first time. It's not the second time. And it will hurt us eventually. In a big game, it will hurt us. So I think the concerns, and I'm going to say the word concerns because I don't like to say criticisms, but I think the concerns that Liverpool fans have over Darwin are justified. But also, I want to give huge credit to Jurgen Klopp. I listened to his post-match interview yesterday, and he spoke about the assist that Darwin had for Mo's goal. And I thought it was very interesting because he praised Darwin for not being selfish and talked about the fact that he would have been perfectly within his rights to have a go, and then praised him for the assist for Mo. And I just thought to myself, that's why he's our manager. Because he's both protecting and bigging up the player that he knows is going to be in for some criticism because of the amount of missed chances. I thought that was a really good insight into Jurgen Klopp's thinking around that situation. Because I got to be honest with you, when I look back at the situation, shooting wasn't really an option. It wasn't the best option, and it shouldn't have been the option. What he did was perfect. The assist from Mo was the right thing to do in the right moment. But I thought it was good from Jurgen. I thought it was good man management. Craig, what if we sign Lacroix or Itakura? So I'm going to speak about Lacroix in a minute. I have him on my notes here to speak about now in a second. So again, sticking with the Mirror, they say that Liverpool have an option in January, so this window, for Maxime Lacroix from Wolfsburg for 25 million quid. And that's what tonight's title is about. Because this is a name that's come up a little bit over the past couple of months. You can make the easy connection to Wolfsburg and George Schmadtke, and obviously Schmadtke and Klopp having a great understanding of the German market. And 25 million, I don't think any of us could push back on the number. You know, I don't know enough about the player to know how he plays, what he'd look like in our system. But for 23 years of age, £25 million, for a centre-back who's probably going to come in to be at best third, maybe fourth choice, sounds like a decent number. It sounds like a reasonable expectation. But what do you guys think? 25 million for Lacroix? Is it worth it? Would you take it? And also this one clearly says January, which differentiates the Gay story, which will be pushed on till the summer. Because I think we do need to do something in January. Whether it's a full-back, a centre-back, a utility defender that can play in full-back and centre-back. I think we do need to do it because I don't expect Arsenal to sit in their hands in this window. I don't expect City to sit in their hands in this window. I don't expect United to either. So, yeah, I think we got to give ourselves the best chance to win the league. And if that means investing now, then I think that's what we have to do. Is all his assists still only to Mo, or has it changed? Oh, I don't know, Danny. I don't know. I really don't know. You're talking about Darwin, right? I've no idea. I'm not really arsed about assists, lads. Am I on my own in that? Like, I find assists a very tricky stat to get excited about. Because you've got two different types of assists. You've got the Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, 40, 50 yard diagonal ball over the top, release the forward does his job, goal. You've got that assist. Then you've got the 2 yard square pass to a guy who beats three players and puts one in top bins from 25 yards assist, where there wasn't much assisting going on in that assist, if you get me. Like, the glory came from the man who put the ball in the net and beat the players, not the dude who played the 2-yard square pass. So I always find assists a little bit. But somebody in the comments yesterday tried to start talking pre-assists with me, and that's where I draw the line. No, I'm not having pre-assists. I'm too old, and I'm not having pre-assists. Pre-assists is called passing the ball. It's your damn job. Pass the ball, the right place to make a move happen at the right time. But I'm not going around giving lads pats on the back for pre-assists. Nobody jumps into my bedroom in the middle of the night before myself and the wife have happy time and gives me pre-assists or gives me credit for the pre-happy time build-up. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Nah, I'm too old for that, lads. Sorry. Pre-assist stuff it's not for me. So, sticking with the Mirror, there is another story talking about Anthony Robinson that said, I didn't realise this dude was 26, by the way. I thought Anthony Robinson was about 19 or 20, but he's 26. And they say that Liverpool could move from in January, but only if somebody else comes to the table. So it looks very much like the Diaz situation. If nobody comes, maybe Liverpool wait, and re-look at the situation in the summer. But if somebody comes in from now, according to this piece anyway, that's when Liverpool would act to try and sign the player. So, again, just reporting what's in the Mirror. But you can score tapping goals and worldies. Yeah. But both of those will win you a game of football, mate. That's my point on that, Kenny, is a goal's a goal. Do you know what I mean? You win a game 1-0, you've scored the goal, you've won the game. You're right, it doesn't matter if it's a tap in or not. But that's what I'm saying. That's a definitive stat that definitely reflects on something. Salah's assist for Gakpo was awesome. Now that, I have to hold my hands up to that, and I did, to be fair, earlier on in the video. Yesterday on the watch-along, I didn't really pay attention to the assist from Mo because I think I was looking at the chat and then looked up to see Gakpo score. So I celebrated and didn't look back. But last night, I watched the highlights of the game, and what an assist from Mo. Like, yeah, it was an incredible bit of football from Mo with the outside of his foot. And Gakpo didn't have to do anything. It was pinpoint accuracy from Mo. And to be fair as well, I have spoken a lot in glowing terms about a particular type of assist that Mo has almost honed this year. And that's that little reverse ball into the half space. A good example of this was the first chance in that game yesterday that Darwin missed. The one that Mo played the ball in and Darwin really quickly tried to flick it past the keeper, who made himself big and made the save. Mo has done that, oh God, I don't know, a lot this season. It's a really clever addition to his game, and it comes from, I guess, the understanding of his other forwards and the runs they're going to make. But yeah, he's very, very clever at that pass into the half space. Darwin rushes it every time. So I don't know where to even go about the finishing from Darwin, because I don't know what to say. That's the God's honest truth. Like, I can't rationalise why he misses them. The same way I can't rationalise how he can put it in top bins from 25 yards. I don't know. See, I don't know what causes him to have these panicky moments in front of goal. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because he does a lot of good stuff that gets him into these positions. Or, like, look at yesterday. Which one was this? The one that initially he missed and Lucho followed up and scored, and then the offside flag went up. That one, it was a good battle with the defender and he won the physical battle. So you've got those good aspects of his game. You've got the run into the channels. I don't know, I feel he's better off the left for me, Darwin, than through the centre. I'd like Mo through the centre. What about Gakpo? He's more convenient from Darwin. I don't know what you mean by convenient there. I like Cody Gakpo. I think Cody Gakpo is a very intelligent footballer. I don't ever imagine he'll be prolific, but that's okay. I don't think he's naturally a number 9 either. I think he's a link-up man. I think he plays best behind the front three or on the left-hand side. That's just my opinion of Cody Gakpo. But a really good footballer. Sports Bible, Real Madrid interested in Maguire. Oh, God. Who was that again that put that in? Indian Scouser. Oh, please let that happen, mate. Please. Just for the bants. I mean, I'd pay good money to watch him defending in La Liga against some of those pacey attackers. This has to be up there with the Barcelona Rashford story for me as absolute nonsense. Nike is better than Adidas. I don't think so. Not for me. I'm a huge Adidas fanboy. I'm a footwear Nike man. You know, I've got my Jordans and my Air Max and I love them. But I've always been an Adidas fan of clothing. And look, I think Adidas make better football shirts as well, if I'm being really honest. Bowen in. Again, I've got to be honest, Baldwin, man, I lost interest in the Jared Bowen story when I heard that he's valued at 100 million quid. I love Jared Bowen. I'd love him at Liverpool, but nah, he's nowhere near worth 100 million quid. 60 million quid max, I think, for Bowen. And if they are holding out for that number, then no thank you, because it's ridiculous. Again, it's like 100 million is apparently just nothing these days. You know, you've seen Rice, Enzo, Caicedo, Kane to Bayern. It's just, these numbers are lunacy. And he's not worth 100 million quid. So we should look elsewhere. Especially if you could get like Florian Wirtz, who's both younger and probably more versatile. You get Elise for, 60, 65 maybe. I think they're far better value signings than Bowen. But I do really like Jared Bowen. Bobby wasn't prolific but class. Yeah, but you see, Bobby allowed the others to do what they did. And maybe I'm missing out on that from Gakpo. But Bobby was super clever with his movement and the understanding he had with Mo and Sadio. And maybe Gakpo gets there, because I can absolutely see a world where he gets to that point. But you are right, Bobby was never prolific either. But I do think he was a bit more of a natural scorer, though, than Gakpo. But I love them both, to be honest. I think Cody Gakpo is a great player. Maguire to Real Zaragoza. We're getting closer now, right, Phil? We're getting closer, mate, to what's realism there. Am I secretly hiding a six-pack? Me? Oh, yeah. That's what's going on, yeah. I just didn't want to embarrass everybody with my mushkels. Just no, mate. Full on keg here. So just tomorrow, just an update. I won't be live tomorrow night on here. I will be live with Adam on Top of the League between 5 and 6. We're going to do a transfer show on there, going around all the clubs, having a look at what they might do, what they need. Then there'll be a couple of videos coming out tomorrow. But I'm so just exhausted, to be honest with you, that I'm going to take tomorrow night off. I'm going to watch the darts, going to sit on the sofa, get a takeaway and just relax, because I'm actually mentally shattered at the minute. What's a fair price for Mbappe to Liverpool? Well, it's free, is the answer. Like, it's free and he's not free. Like, I think the way I've always tried to tie that situation together in my head is it only becomes it only becomes an option if two things happen. Real Madrid aren't at the table and Liverpool decide to cash in on Mo. It would take those two things both to happen. Liverpool to get about 100 million from Mo, give all that money to Mbappe as a signing on fee, and then try to figure out the wages. That's the only way I could see it happening. And then I'd also be pretty certain that John W. Henry would only be keeping Mbappe for 3 years and then selling him and making money to make the money back, if that makes sense. So yeah, he can sign a contract now with Liverpool, with United, with Real, with Bayern, with anybody, and leaving the summer for free because he's in the last 6 months of his deal. Did you see the Footy Headlines article about the Liverpool away kit with the tick that's 45 degrees the wrong way? Yeah, it ruins the kit for me. Other than that, I think that white, red and black kind of kit's alright. Doesn't look too bad. Or are you talking about the black one with a bit of green on it, with Alexis McAllister in it? Because there's been a lot of stuff coming out about kits in the last few days. My take on the black kit with the teal on the sleeves is that why is there a different colour black on the collar? It looks a bit weird. The away white kit I like, but the tick ruins it, being the wrong angle. And the home kit that was leaked, I think, is one of the most ugly things I've ever seen with regards to a Liverpool shirt. And I think they have destroyed the Liverbird by sticking that embossed "You'll Never Walk Alone" behind it. I think it's cheesy. I don't like it. And the collar doesn't make any sense to me because it just stops here. And yeah. But I'm old, remember. How much would you sell Diaz for? I wouldn't. Not after last night. If he's back like that, thank you very much. We'll keep Diaz. Look, I always said I understood fully why his head wasn't at the races because of everything that went on with his family, and I cannot imagine how difficult that was for them all to deal with. But now, you know, that he spent Christmas with his parents, and if he's getting back to himself, don't sell the lad. He's a lot to offer. Where was this nice comment? Happy New Year, Craig. Love your videos. So I want to give a shout out, and thank you, by the way, Leo. Thank you. I want to give a shout out to LFC USA for a minute, because me and him talk offline a lot. And sometimes I vent to him about frustrations I have, about how I've dealt with things in the chat and stuff like that. And he made a comment to me yesterday that I've never joined the dots on this. So he said to me, rather than reading the hateful comments that are going to make you angry and ruin the flow of a stream, read the nice chats. But that's not the genius behind what he said to me, because people have said that to me a lot. What he said to me was, because sometimes people who you read their comments, it means a lot to them that you've read their comment and it makes their day. And I never thought of it like that before, because I don't think of myself as anything other than a normal guy. So I don't think that me reading a comment could ever possibly impact somebody in a positive way. I just view it as part of our chat, and we all have a conversation as mates. But when I thought about that, and I understood that maybe he has a point, and maybe there are some people who genuinely do get excited if a comment's read out, that's certainly going to be what I'm going to try and focus on, because if I can at all have that positive impact on somebody, then that should definitely be where my priority is, ahead of reading an arsehole's comment that's only trying to bait me. So thank you again for that, Brian. Fabrizio Romano, spoken Mbappe, impossible for him to predict how it goes between PSG and Real Madrid right now. He mentioned no other clubs. Again, I don't see anything. I have no issue with what you've said there. To Facebook Network makes sense to me. Look, I wouldn't even start to think about it from a Liverpool perspective until we knew what was up with Real Madrid, because, you know, if Real Madrid want them, I think he goes to Real Madrid. So I think what he said there makes absolute sense. Fact, said Gareth Brennan, thank you. Vibrant said, I know I do, Craig, thank you. Brian is spot on, said David. Yeah, and I never thought of it like that, because I don't think of myself as anything other than your mate. Genuinely, you can ask my wife this. I don't think, like, that's why the idea of even doing a live show baffles me. It's like, who the hell's going to want to come and see me and just me? So yeah, I'm going to try. And this is going to sound really, really dodgy, what I'm about to say. Maybe we need a safe word. Maybe we need a word that you put in the chat if I'm biting on negative comments and changing and wrecking the tone of what can sometimes be a really fun stream. So maybe we need a safe word. Sounds a bit weird, right? But maybe we do. Have you talked about Itakura. I haven't. I read a comment out about him earlier on, but we haven't talked about him. No. There was something yesterday linking us to him. I'm gonna try and go back through my notes real quick, see if I can find it. Sorry, mate. Bear with me 1 second. No, I don't have it in my notes anymore. I don't know what about him, to be honest with you. Oh no, broccoli can't be the safe word because that's already a word that people associate with other stuff. So if broccoli gets put in by somebody who's just having a laugh normally, I feel like that would just, I'd interpret it wrong, so we need a different word. Muskrat can be the safe word. Seems as good a word as any. Let's go with that then. Muskrat. I don't know if I'll remember that word, but muskrat. Let's go with that then, mate, as the safe word. Muskrat. 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 Would you swap Ben Doak for Garnacho? No. Gonna tell you why. Not because I don't think Garnacho's a great football player, but because Garnacho seems a lot better on the left-hand side. I've seen him moved over to the other side at times when Rashford's been on the left, and he's not looked the same player. So, because of the fact we were pretty stocked on the left side, and Doak's on the right side where we probably need to try and find solutions to cover for Mo or whatever, no, I wouldn't, for those reasons. Muskrat. Right, Muskrat. There we go. Muskrat. Muskrat. Why do we need a safe word? If I'm biting on the negative comment and people want me to move on and get back to talking about the fun stuff and concentrating on the good, nice people, that's why we need the safe word, Toes. Muskrat. There you go. As a former goalkeeper yourself, what's your opinion on Buffon suggesting making the goals bigger? No. Stop. I mean, I love Gigi Buffon. Absolutely a hero of mine. But we need to stop dicking around with football. Leave it alone. We don't need to make the goals bigger. We don't need to make up any more new rules. We need to just concentrate on making the laws of the game applicable to the technology that's been brought into the game and stop everything else till we get the basic stuff right, like handball. If we can sort out the handball stuff, then we can move on to the other stuff down the line, but not now. And I also don't want the goals made bigger. Happy New Year. If you could give advice to your 23-year-old self, what would it be? Let the anger go. Yeah, let the anger go, definitely. I carried a lot of anger for my 20s and 30s because of family stuff. And I only really let it go in the last couple of years so much. And that's because of the channel allowing me to kind of understand that I can be more vulnerable and stuff. So yeah, let go of the anger. It's not worth it. It's debilitating. And there's no positives to it of carrying the anger around. There just isn't. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it just drains you. So muskrat is spelled with a C. So it's Muskrat, right? Muskrat. There we go. Who do you think is the best penalty taker between Virgil, Maka and Nunes? Maka. I would I'd put Maka on penalties while Mo's away if we get one. And also, do you know what? Genuinely, I think we need to have a conversation about penalties anyway. I did love Mo's interview yesterday after the game though, where he said, was there any thoughts about you not taking the second penalty? He's like, no. I love that honesty. Any updates on Dom's injury? No, not that I've seen. Other than the hamstring. We'll have to get the scan results back, I'd say. What are your thoughts on Stefan Bajcetic? What are my thoughts on Bajcetic? I've no doubts about the lad as a player. I guess I'm just nervous because we don't know the full ins and outs of what's keeping him from playing at the minute. So, if we got a guarantee that this wasn't going to be an ongoing thing, I'd say take as long as you need. Take as long as it takes to get him right and get him back playing. Because he's a youngster. He's got a long career ahead of him. I love Stefan Bajcetic. I think he's a wonderfully good footballer. And he's got a great attitude. And I love the fact that he cost us €300,000, which is such a bargain. Would I swap Nunez for Leao? Not in January, but ask me again in the summer. Because if Darwin doesn't come good by the summer and start to improve this ratio of shots to goals, then I think we need to have that difficult conversation about what happens now. But I'm not writing him off just yet. And if he can make it click, he's going to be some player. But I don't know how long. I don't know how long is rational to be patient. Would you swap Lacroix for Kwanzaa? No, absolutely not. I love an academy product coming through. And I like the way Jarell Kwanzaa's carrying himself. I like the man's confidence. I just like the idea that he could be at our club for the next 10, 12, 13 years. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I think Kwanzaa is a huge talent. Imposter. I don't know what the fuck that word means. If you're gonna put in a comment, give us the whole comment, mate, and not just one word, because I'm pretty sure I am Craig Holden. So I'm almost certain there. I'm almost certain I know who I am. I'm pretty sure I am me. And also, if you're another one of these idiots who talks about the title of a stream, they're not my stories, mate. I'm not claiming them to be my stories. They're talking points. They're bullet points for a conversation. So that's on you more than me, to be fair with you. So yeah, Muskrat, there you go. See? It works. So bye-bye drone footage. You've been muskratted. We need a muskrat emoji now, don't we? We need a muskrat emoji. There you go. See? It works. We've already moved on. Bingo. Love it. Jones is Arsenal's #1 target. One report suggests Curtis Jones wanted a move from Anfield. I'm not sure how trustworthy the journalist was writing that report. I genuinely struggle to figure out why Jones would want a move away from Liverpool. Can I see that Arsenal would want him? Yeah, of course, yeah. But I struggle to see why Jones would want to move away. He's worked and battled hard to get to the point where he's starting games at Liverpool. So, no, I don't see anything to that story. Nor do I think Jurgen Klopp will even contemplate selling him. He's a Scouser, why would he leave? Exactly. We've got our heartbeat. We've got Trent. We've got Curtis. And we've got other lads who are relatively local, who are coming through. Exactly. He's living the dream now. He doesn't need to go anywhere else. Right, I'm going to go and watch the second game of the darts and chill out for a little bit. Appreciate you guys coming in. Tomorrow I'll be live at 5 to 6 with Adam on top of the league. No live content tomorrow night because I'm going to be watching the darts final. But there will be videos and stuff coming out as always. So again, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Muskrat, how are you doing? Big fan, Craigo. And how are you and the fam? All good, thank you, Issa. Same to you. I hope your family are well. Happy New Year to you. And yeah, appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow. Much love. Bye bye.